Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the I Voted for Pedro show. You guys all know me. I'm Ted from Ted Talks Ball. With me here is Pedro, other known as at Pete D. Burge of Niners DNA. He's obviously the Pedro part. And, Pedro, how are you doing on this lovely Victory Monday?
Oh, look, I don't know what to feel, Ted, after yesterday and the week before. Look, I'm ecstatic that we're there. It was always the plan that we go there this year, I thought. How we got there is unbelievable. After we get off today, it's morning here. It's Tuesday morning here in Sydney. I'm looking at ways to get over there, Ted, to watch this Super Bowl. So ecstatic about the win. Really love how we came back. And I guess my headline for the win is we've got a quarterback now that can come back. We didn't have one in Jimmy. He couldn't come back. He couldn't defeat those deficits. And now we've got a guy who just who has the temperament to do it.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy did a little bit in the 2019 season,
Yes,
but not never in the playoffs. And I think that's the big differentiator. Yeah, I mean, how many times have I said we're a front runner? We're a front runner. We only play well with the lead, and
that's right.
yeah,
I agree. We were.
yeah, 2 games in a row. We've sort of bucked the trend a little bit. It's awesome. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat here. It's already popping here, so let's get to it before we get too far behind. Got Red Jet Shell in the house saying hello, chat. What's up, Red Jet? Nice to see you. We got CB Nuttree. This is Curtis. He is a buddy of mine, but maybe more importantly, he's a Chiefs fan. I think he's going to come on. We're maybe looking at this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, or maybe a week from Wednesday. We haven't nailed it down yet, but definitely going to get him on. He's been on the show before, so definitely eager to hear his ideas. Red Jet saying like and subscribe. Yeah, both channels. We're streaming to TED Talks Ball. We're streaming to Niners DNA. So make sure that if you're on my channel, you get over to Pete's, give him a like, subscribe. Same thing if you're on Pete's channel, Pedro's channel, pardon me. Come on over, give me a like, subscribe. Also, if you're watching on a browser, open up 2 tabs, and that way give us double the watch hours. It really helps us out. So thanks in advance for that. I'm kind of doing that as we speak here as well. And then I'll get back to the chat here in just a second. But Pedro, wanted to see if you had any thoughts so far, anything I've missed or anything you want to
add. Just out. I need to know, and I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to the audience just about what is happening with the run D. And we stacked the box in the second half. Things got adjusted, but for a defense that has that much talent on it, it doesn't make sense to me that it can be shredded like it's a number 26 run defense, which it shouldn't be. And what are the things that go into making that number? Is it Wilkes? Is it the personnel not being worth the money they're being paid? Is it the scheme? Is it the opposition offensive coordinators watching this team for the last 3 or 4 years and knowing the pin and pull to ensure that they can get some gaps? I'd like to riff on that a bit and hear your thoughts, Ted.
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that for sure. Let me get back to the chat here just for a sec and try and get caught up a little bit, and then we'll circle back about run defense for sure. Denverberry Sports Highlights in the house. He's a Rams fan, but be sure you check out his channel. Saying yo, got 9. Oh, that's Pedro. We got Randy Elite Daytona in the house saying yes. Beaches. Welcome, Randy. Always. Dan Barry says Chiefs win. It's funny because we're favored by Vegas. The line opened up with Niners a 1.5
points.
Last I checked, we were favored by it had dropped to 1 point even. Now we're back to 1.5 again. So a little volatility on the line as the money starts to pour in on these two teams. But Vegas disagrees with you, Daniel Barry. Not by a lot, but hey, it's worth noting. Red Jet Shell says, "Go Niners, Super Bowl bound, Viva Las Vegas." Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Poor Raiders fans, they hate us. They hate the Chiefs. They have to hope for a meteor or something, I guess. They're not going to be happy that these two teams are playing in their stadium for rings. Brutal for the Raiders fans. But, I guess we don't really care what the Raiders fans think anyway. So Victory Lap Monday, Elite AF, MF, MV Purdy. I still think Lamar will probably win the MVP. But Purdy, he's making a better case for it. The elite part, I'm still holding off on. But I am getting closer. Each time he plays well, I get closer. But the rain bit with the Packers set him back in my eyes some too. So probably net even on the two games. I'm probably still getting a little closer to elite. Just the way he led the game-winning drive against the Packers and all his mobility against the Lions last night is a lot to like. Comeback king. Yeah, I mean, biggest comeback ever, tied the largest comeback ever in playoff history. And oddly enough, the other one was another NFC championship game, was another 49er game. At that time, we were in Atlanta against the Falcons, and it was Colin Kaepernick who engineered a 17-point comeback, but it was much earlier in the game. I think they went up 17-0 on us rather than 24-7 at the half. But, still 17-17, however you slice it. People are just saying hi. If we bring this chip, book your flight for the parade. There you go. Yeah, well, that's right. You have to have two flights, right? Are you probably? I don't know if you could stick around, right? Because
the flights. So there's packages from a place down here.
Because they're really expensive. I know coming back after the Super Bowl. I remember when we had our New Year's game there, they were crazy expensive to get home from Vegas to the Bay after the New Year's game. So it might cost almost as much as the trip from Australia. Not quite that much, but
no.
A lot.
11.5 USD, but that includes ticket, accommodation, and a VIP, not a VIP, but just some sort of party at Allegiant Stadium. But then I've got to get flights on top of that. So, just looking at
my buddy, I was at my buddy's house for the game, who has season tickets, and he's hoping to hit the lottery. But in the meantime, he was buying a ticket as a fail-safe to have one already lined up. He was looking at I think $8,000 or $8,500 for the ticket, but then it's like a $2,000 transaction fee on top of it, which is just crazy.
On what, StubHub?
Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster.
Yeah. It was a $2,000 or $2,100, like I said, transaction fee, which is just crazy expensive. But I think he got it last night while we were watching the game. And then, I guess his thought is if he hits the lottery, then he would just sell that ticket.
That's right.
And because it's not like something you'll probably take a bath on. Their values or the prices are likely to go up between now and then.
People are going to pay.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a lot of Chiefs fans and obviously a lot of Niner fans. And then there's just, football fans who like to go as well, too. Real quick, we got Jimmy Perez in the house. We got CarCast in the house. CarCast has his own channel, so make sure you check him out. Casey used to do this when they won. They'd fall behind, adjust, and win. Yeah, no, I just would like us to make these adjustments sooner. So, all right, one of the adjustments was that we, tightened up our gaps. I mean, Kyle talked about that our gaps in our zone were too big in the first half, and Steve Wilkes adjusted. But can we just make these adjustments before the game against the Chiefs? Because Patrick Mahomes isn't going to choke the way Jared Goff did. And not just Goff. I mean, Andy Reid won't choke the way his name's Dan Campbell, but I've been calling him Dan Gamble because he crapped out. And I feel pretty vindicated because in my preview article, I pretty much nailed all this stuff. I said, like, Dan Campbell loves to go for it, but he'd be advised to, like, think twice about doing that against the Niners, because this is not an average NFL defense that we have.
They would have won by 3 points if they took field goal.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean,
Theoretically.
If you assume that they made them, but their kicker Badgley is not very good. That was another thing I mentioned in my article, is neither team trusts their kicker.
Neither's Moody. Oh my God.
No. So there were a lot of similarities between the two teams. They have a great run game. Unlike us, they're great against the run, but unlike us, they're not good against the pass. So I just said in my article, I really trusted Debo and Ayuk and Jennings against their boundary corners, and I trusted Purdy more than Goff. And I felt like all those were pretty well justified. So at least in the second half, it was a tale of two halves, obviously, right? I mean, we were down 24-7 at the half, then we outscored them 27-7 in the second half. So it was a lot of the things that the Lions said when they were being boastful, they were right at the halftime. But they just needed the game to be 30 minutes instead of 60 for their stuff to come true. We need to beat KC this time. Yeah, we got to get our revenge. I posted up a list of revenge people for us. In other words, it's interesting how few people there are left, from on both teams. Obviously it's Kyle and Andy Reid are still there, right? And then for us, it's like Kittle, Fred, Bosa, Debo, Juice, Armstead, Dre, and Wishnowski. And I even included Mooney Ward because they let him walk. So it's a revenge game for him for
that's right.
Letting him walk. And then for the Chiefs, it's much even lesser. It's like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and Chris Jones. And I don't think there's a single other player on the maybe Butker. I don't remember if Butker was their kicker back then. Maybe Butker too, but like I don't even think he was, honestly. So much smaller list of Chiefs, and still all together it's only about 15 guys total between the two teams, which is pretty crazy. Because like almost our whole O-line, our whole O-line did change out. Because Trent Williams came the next year, and it's pretty wild. All the turnover, all our whole secondary, all our running backs.
Yeah.
And even Ayuk wasn't drafted till 2020. So
that's right.
Yeah. So everybody's just saying hi. We got silly fun guy in the house. He's saying congrats, y'all. Thanks. He's a Rams fan, but he's super cool. And he also usually brings some funny or at least punny dad jokes with him. Red Jets saying hi to CarCast. Just saying, let's go. There's the for the silly fun guy mushroom there. I'm okay with Stevie starving Peter to pay Paul. LOL. Yeah, whatever it takes at this point, whatever it takes. We just got to get that. We got to get number 6. I said earlier this season in the off season that I didn't think we would win the Super Bowl because I didn't think we'd be healthy enough. And I also didn't expect Brock to improve as much as he did this season. But I mean, I think we're healthy enough. I mean, I'm not saying we will win, but I'm saying I think there's the point spread being 1 point tells you all you need to know. I think it's very evenly matched. I think Mahomes is the better quarterback, but I think we beat them in most ways. I think maybe their run defense is better than ours. Our run clearly has some issues. The Chiefs defense
is pretty good.
They've gotten really good, and they have Spagnuolo, who's an outstanding defensive coordinator. I give him the edge over Wilkes any day. So Rob D in the house says Viva Brock Vegas. There we go. Viva Las Purdy. I like it. I hadn't heard those yet, so thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Rocking and rolling. We got 49er Media in the house. Anshul Shah. What's up, Anshul? Thanks for joining. Guys, it's going to be impossible to move on from Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, or Jennings.
I wanted to touch on this. I saw this. What you mean impossible to keep or move on from them? I think we got to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, we're already. I mean, I've been saying all along that Ayuk was going to be our big extension this
Yeah.
offseason. But I was saying all along that we were going to let Jennings walk. And yeah, it seems like it'll be impossible to do that just with his physicality.
So good.
That catch he made was huge. The leaping
One
one-handed.
handed saved us.
Yeah. Yeah. All these momentum plays that happened. Him, the one with Juice Check also was pretty huge, where Brock was running for his life and just somehow was able to get them the ball. But Jennings' catch totally bailed out Purdy because it wasn't a very good throw. Let's be honest, it was a little too high.
Plus, the last week, that little layered throw that just went over the linebacker's fingertips, and he jumps up and gets it. You know, he does some momentum changing plays, and I as much as he's a third down back, he's very, very, very good.
There you go. I don't know if I had this visor last week when we were on, but it's the Brock Purdy Niners. I wore it most of last week, but I think it's the first time you've seen it. Usually I like to mix them up, but you know, now for the rest of the season, I'm wearing this in support of Brock. You know, with all the haters, like I guess you saw that tweet that I had not too long before we went live here. But there was like some guy named like Big Game Bengal, who said the Purdy dime that started it all. What can the haters say now? ? And it was showing the throw to Ayuk, and he was being sarcastic because obviously it was nearly intercepted. But like what casuals or haters don't really notice is that the safety or corner or whatever it was, the secondary player committed DPI against Ayuk. Otherwise, it would have been a dime right on the money to him, and he would have walked in for the touchdown. And so, and then I had a 49er fan come at me and say, "Oh no, it was the defender did it just right. He had leverage on the ball." I'm like, no, you can't. Illegal contact at the very least if it's not DPI. But the ball was in the air, so it's DPI. That was frustrating for me. But see, everybody's saying hi here. It would have been giving up more yards, but there's down a lot. No, that's true. That's true. Our defense, our run defense, part of the reason why it's looked bad was that we just didn't see it much this season. We had some of the fewest run attempts versus our defense of any defense because we were up by so much in so many games. Most teams couldn't run against us.
Yeah, that's right.
To show
good point. That's a very good point because they wouldn't have continued that. Yeah, nice.
Some of it's Hufanga being out also.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Probably some of it is Azeez Al-Shire being gone too, right? And Jimmy Ward being gone. See, all of a sudden you're losing all these big hitter, enforcer types out of your defense, and then some of our linemen too. Ebicom was really good against the run. DJ Jones was really good against the run. That was 2 years ago, but still, these things start to stack up. And Hargrave's not good against the run. Chase Young clearly does not do outside contain very well. He did have some nice plays last night. I was really happy that he played better, but there were still quite a few where he was like going for the QB and just didn't even pay any attention to the running back running right around the corner on him. Let's see. So we're terrible against the run this season. Yeah, I guess our run efficiency was not good. Dick. No, that's not the guy's name. It's
that's what I wanted to bring up.
Harrison Butker, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think the tackling this year, I think across the league, has gotten. It just seems as though they're just rushing. They're throwing their shoulders. They're not executing a proper tackle. Have you seen that? Have you noticed that it's just like rushing at their hips and stuff like that?
It's something that our defense used to really pride themselves on, was being great tacklers. And it's suffered this season. Again, some of it might be personnel. Some of it might be Steve Wilkes. Might be concepts. It might be too much space in the zone. But yeah, it's been frustrating to watch for sure. Some of it I think is Jair Brown, the rookie, taking bad angles. But he didn't play enough games to have a huge impact for an entire season worth of numbers. So real quick, Brian Culp in the house. He's saying smash the like button. Make sure you check out his channel and his wife Tony. They do great stuff. Give him a like and subscribe as well too. See here, they're just kind of saying hi, and then Red Jet saying tighten up the run and seal the edges. Both Detroit and Green Bay House on the ropes and these things. Yeah, I will say in the second half, like the run defense tightened up greatly. I mean, we were stuffing them for short gains or tackles for losses or no gains quite a bit. So
yeah,
they can do it. It's just they have to be disciplined.
Yeah, they just, the linebackers came down at the right time. I thought, Warner had a good game, but he did miss a couple of tackles. Ambry missed a couple of tackles. That's Ambry Thomas, number 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Thank you, 49er Media. I saw that. I didn't know that he'd reported that, so that's really good to hear.
We can't let Ayuk go.
No way.
Mm-mm. Not with the way he blocks and not with the way he runs routes.
No, that
not with the season he just had. You got to imagine he's got more in him than that. So
he has elite route running, like that route that he ran to get the eventual touchdown after the dime that he was, the DPI call. That's beautiful route running, and that's why he was able to, get the ball in his chest.
We were also missing Oren Burks yesterday too.
Was he not? Right? I thought he was playing.
I thought I saw him in there. I thought I saw 48, but I thought I saw before the game that he wasn't playing.
No, he was playing.
But then I could swear he's 48, right?
He's 48.
I could swear that I saw him. And I saw Burks on his back. So I don't know how. Maybe it was one of those things where it's like it was Rapp or Schefter. I know somebody big that I typically.
Someone said he wasn't playing.
Or maybe they said he's expected not to play, and usually you take that as just like the Bible. But I mean, I can probably go ahead. I'm gonna look it up real quick and see because it can't be that many tweets about him, right? I mean, the guy.
And the one,
so Coach Yak said he was active,
right?
Yeah, strong side linebacker. Decent potential playing. What did I see?
I saw him not playing. I saw it too on Twitter somewhere.
Active. Maybe I just misread it.
I saw the same thing, mate. I really did.
Yeah, from one of the bigs, huh?
Yeah, I saw that Oren Burks will not, will be inactive.
Yeah, here we go. This isn't a big guy, but there's a guy who said with no Oren Burks, I'd rather SF just use 5 D linemen.
It was shared on my all
right. Yeah. All right. His Schefter said not expected to play.
That's right.
So again, he, technically was right in that he didn't say he was out.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what happened. That explains it. So then that doesn't explain why our run D was bad then, unfortunately, if we're looking for answers. Gibson sure played well yesterday, though. Holy smokes. He forced that fumble with Jahmyr Gibbs. And I feel like there was a couple or 3 plays that he had that were really just like where I was like, God, I can't believe we got that guy off the street last year. What a great pickup he was. And boy, I hope he doesn't retire because I would love Jair Brown to have one more season to kind of grow and develop before he
needs it. He needs
throw him into the fire full time. Yeah, no doubt about it. Robert Beal will thrive next season. I hope so. He's fast enough, that's for sure. Randy likes the name Butker. Moody stepped up big. We needed the most. The field goal to give the Niners a chance to get. Yeah, no doubt. It was really frustrating right before the half. I posted a text of it was my neighbor had texted me during the game, and she was really worried. And I mean, I was worried too. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, I knew we were going to win" or whatever, because I was nervous. I felt like we had plenty of time to turn it around, but we hadn't seen any signs of turning it around. Right, there was no evidence of it yet, and so I posted this. I said, "If faithful was a text thread." And she texted me at 4:41 and said, "Not looking good." I said, "We just need to score here right before the half." It was like 5 minutes till the half with no time for them. And again, to start the second half. She said, and then later after we didn't score, she's like, "But we're so far behind. The Lions are so with it." I said, "Our D just needs to step up and we need to start scoring." And then towards the end, she texted, "Edge of my seat game thriller. Wow." After I think we had already won, or we had it in that bag. But yeah, Moody, obviously that was a bummer that he missed the first one, but hey, he was perfect after that with two straight important field goals, obviously to get us to within 14 and then to give us a 27-24 lead. Our first lead of the game was given to us by Moody. So
yeah.
Props to him. Let's hope he can keep it going for sure. Yeah.
No, he can't.
We definitely need him to be better. And that was the thing I was going to say. I don't know if I said it earlier, but when we were talking about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth and how I had warned him in my article about it's not going to be as easy, converting these fourth downs against the Niners D is like the average NFL D. And sure, it turned out to be prophetic because they're 0 for 2 on fourth down conversions. But I think also we got to remember part of it is like they don't trust their kicker either. What's his name? Michael Badgley is, I wrote my article also, like neither team trusts their kicker.
Is that Kansas as well?
What's that?
Kansas, Michael Badgley.
No, he was the Lions kicker.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so like Campbell didn't trust him. So that's part of everybody's like, oh, well, if they took the 6 points, well, if they took the 2 kicks, they might not have got 6 points anyway, is kind of the point of it. So it's not such a sure thing as with Justin Tucker or a kicker who's really reliable. Even I guess Justin Tucker's had some struggles this season. So Randy Moody's a really nice guy. I think that's Brent Culp's line. Whenever we bag on somebody, he says these are really nice guys. Super nice. Feliciano godsend. Yeah, I asked for him. I asked for Feliciano last week over Burford against Green Bay. They did it. He's kept him in there. He's been doing pretty well. And then I asked for Jair Brown over Logan Ryan this week. Although we did see Logan Ryan a little bit when Ambry Thomas got injured. I was freaking out. I was like, oh God, this means Isaiah Oliver's coming in. I'm going to lose my mind. I know Randy's not going to like that because Randy likes Isaiah Oliver. But
I think if you keep going, there's some funny stuff coming up about.
Should I just scroll to the bottom and start my way back up? Looks like I'm way behind here as usual. The chat's popping. Good job, everybody, for sure. Edgar Scully in the house. Biggest fears, we grew up early and then on Wheeling.
Now, just go from where Feliciano's a godsend, Moody's a great player like Oliver.
Okay, back where I was.
Yeah, go back to where you were.
Moody is a great guy like Oliver.
You're not too far behind.
Schefter was wrong.
Burks did play.
Yeah. That's what I thought I saw him.
Yeah. The next one's a bit weird.
I saw Oliver picking up garbage when the game was over. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, unless he did something that anyway, I won't try and guess.
Yeah, let's go.
I heavily disagree, Randy, but we've already talked about that. So hopefully we don't find out. Hopefully we just win it all.
We go down to 9:30 Red Jet. I think that's when we can.
All right.
Niners just have to play with the energy. Yeah, go from there. Because I think Red Jet said something else that was quite poignant as well in terms of Debo's energy when he caught that ball, and he's just like, "Come on, let's kind of
speed it up.
Let's go here. You know, we can win this. Let's
get the urgency."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that he talked his trash with CJ Gardner-Johnson, and CJ took a cheap shot at him, and luckily didn't take him out. We were all worried about his shoulder, of course, with good reason.
Yeah, hit his shoulder like that. Like, that's really, really bad sportsmanship.
Oh yeah, I mean the guy's a total. I mean, just awful human being. He's been that way ever since he was in, and he was there when we beat the Saints, you know, in that big shootout, Jimmy G's signature game.
Oh, really? Was he really?
Kittle's rumble. That was one of the guys that was getting carried by Kittle, was CJ Gardner-Johnson. He also speared Juszczyk in the helmet and got a roughing penalty down by the goal line, I think, on one of our scores. I felt like CJ Gardner-Johnson was dirty as a Saint, and then also as an Eagle, and then carried right over to being as a Lion. Obviously, they also had what's his bucket too, that their safety who took out 2 ACLs. Luckily, none of that happened yesterday, but no, they're kind of dirty. The guy I mentioned in my article, I mentioned a defensive end who could have maybe be a bookend for Hutchinson. A guy named James Houston, he speared Purdy in the helmet late.
Did you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was dirty, or at least illegal at the very least.
You could see him purposely rub, like just sort of
hit him right in the weight. And Purdy had a cut on his lip afterwards.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
about the way these games have been going. I mean, it's interesting. My buddy, my buddy's house, he was having a party and there's a bunch of people, but he and I were chatting a bunch during the game, and he said, "Oh, well, it's not rust at this point," and I'm kind of like, I don't know, it still could be rust.
I think I have to agree. I think he should have played that last game against the Rams. He's a rookie still, kinda. You know what I mean?
Close enough. Yeah.
Close enough, and he's just got to keep playing. And I said that to the guy. So my friend's got a nice little home cinema. We're watching it there, and it's very hard for me to watch games in public places because I just end up making a fool of myself. And I was thinking that the 2 weeks off. Football's a physical game, and the timing that he throws with needs time on task. So that's my little coaching tip for Shanahan next year, if it ever comes to fruition again.
There you go. We got Mick Mallow in the house saying Niners, let's go. It just says TED Talks ballers. My previous comment about Debo, we can give Debo his flower for signature.
Yeah,
that shifted the whole paradigm. Yeah,
no doubt about it. I agree, Red Jet. I agree.
It's not the OL. The O line. It's
never been invested in. It's never been invested in heavily.
Yeah, I when things were going badly in the game, and I wasn't so sure we'd win. I wasn't saying we'd lose, but I was like, if we may not. Anybody who says they didn't have some doubts, they're lying. I was like, maybe this will get Kyle to invest in offensive line, because obviously the Detroit Lions sure have. And if you can make Goff look as good as he looked in the first half, then maybe offensive line is worth investing in a little bit more. Because again, like Feliciano, we got this guy off the street. It's just amazing that he's fit in so well. So our O-line can only improve. As long as Trent Williams is here, as soon as he says he's going to play next year so he can win this, set this record. And after that, I pretty much guarantee he's gone. Pretty much guarantee.
I think if we do win, and I hope we do, he'll say sayonara.
You think you all just got on a high note? I think he might. I think he might too. I said that before the season started, and during the season until he made that announcement that he for sure would be back next season. But again, people say things. I'll tell you, I don't know if I talked to you about this at all last week, but during the Green Bay game, it didn't look like he was looking like he wanted to come back. If we lost that game, he was pissed on that sideline. So maybe not invested. And I agree we should invest it, but only giving up 2 or 3 sacks a game. That's just because Purdy is so good at evading. But if you look at a lot of his bad throws, including the interception, he had guys in his face. He had O linemen or D linemen in his face. Either the D linemen are there or they're pushing the O lineman into his face, and he wasn't able to step into throws. And he doesn't have a cannon arm to where he can just gun it off his back foot. He's got good mechanics. He needs to be able to use them. And you can't do that with a guy in your face, especially between you and your target. So
the only one he did that on was the throw to Debo, which I think was in the first half. One of the throws to Debo. It wasn't the one that. Anyway, there was one where he just got pounded, but he ended up getting it to Debo.
There you go. Yeah, that's maybe true, Randy. I don't know. I think he's done what he wants to do. I think if he gets a ring and sets this record next year, I don't see any chance he'll play beyond the 2024 season. But Anshul said to check his comments. Let's see here. He said not expected to play. I took it as isn't. Yeah, that's exactly what I did too. Because usually when they say not expected to play, they pretty much usually don't.
That's what I think as well. Yeah.
But these guys are talking about Mother Nature clean, and it's like the Eddie Murphy joke. The bear turns to the rabbit while they're pooping in those. Does it stick to your fur? He said no, so he used him as teepee.
And Randy says something good here. Yeah, we can use a better line, but just don't think it has to be costly. And I think you're right. We can find some people that can do the job because Trent's taken up a lot of money on that O-line, but
it's going to cost you either in dollars or in draft picks, though. That's the way it's going to work. So I mean, occasionally there's late round guys. Chiefs have a really good example of that with their right guard Trey Smith. Was like a 6th round draft pick, but that's also he fell because he had concerns about blood clots, and it turned out to be nothing but things like that. The same kind of thing happened with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the outstanding middle linebacker for the Browns. There were concerns about his heart, not like figurative heart, like motor or playing hard, but like literally his heart, like that it might explode or have a heart attack or whatever. And then he turned out to be fine too. But sometimes those medicals can get you a guy cheap, and sometimes there's just people that people don't expect. I would say Colton McKivitz has been a pretty good pickup for I believe he was a 5th round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he was 5th. Warner was 6th, and Jennings was 7th in that draft. So he's been pretty good for a 5th round draft pick. I mean, considering he's replacing a number 9 overall draft pick in McGlinchey.
He's done nothing in Denver.
Yeah, no, they had the exact same pass rushing grade by PFF, and I don't, PFF's not the Bible by any stretch. I, sometimes say it's not trash, but not much better than that. But it's, it's at least a reference point. So it's harder to tell with some of these positions where there's 0 statistics to go off of, or very few statistics to go off of. 187 in the house, same Purdy dog. Absolutely, he was a dog on Sunday. A fighter. Like I said, my article, I said, all things equal, I trust Purdy more than Goff, and I trust our receivers more than their boundary corners. And I thought those two things would be the difference. If it was a close game, if we weren't able to pressure Goff a lot, and they were able to run the ball a lot, and I thought those things were likely with that great O-line, and sure enough, it was. My only hope was that Jonah Jackson being out and Ragnow being injured would weaken their offensive interior, and it probably did a little, but Ragnar's just such a warrior. That guy is always playing with massive injuries, and it doesn't really seem to affect his level of play. Guys, he's one of the best centers in the league for sure.
As much as Purdy struggled in the first half, I watched the 40-minute game last night. So over here, obviously, I've got the Game Pass via DAZN, DAZN, and you can watch the 40-minute game. He wasn't, because of the combination of the run game being, their run game being so good, and then Purdy having to be so much better to get the ball down the field so he could score. He didn't look as bad to me in the 40-minute version. It was behind on a couple of throws, but it was the offensive line and the defenders being in his lap that caused a lot of that.
And a lot of those, so many tipped balls early in the game. Hutchinson had 2, and I feel like there was more, but I remember for sure Hutch had 2. So yeah, that's another thing where offensive line can help you out. Sometimes if you punch a guy in the gut, it's harder for him to have his hands up to tip balls. Steve-O Supremo in the house, never had a doubt, apparently. All right, that makes one. No, I know there's people saying it. I just don't believe them. But that's okay.
I was going to leave at halftime for my friend's place. I was like, man, I can't look at this anymore.
I know. I bet you my dad turned it off too. I need to follow up with him and see. At halftime, the faithless reared their ugly heads. There was definitely some folks who were, chicken littling a little bit. The sky is falling. I think there's different levels. I mean, I would say I had doubts. I wasn't saying that for sure we're going to lose. Was what I was sort of where I was with it. I was pissed off hearing the golf chants at Levi's. I'm glad I missed those. I didn't hear them. That would have pissed me off too. Every action has a reaction. Now they know not to do that in Levi's. Yeah, and we're 6-0 at Levi's in the playoffs now, which is pretty insane. I needed a cup of drugs at half times, but did not lose faith. There you go. We couldn't stop the Lions' run. We did in the second half some, but not the outside run. Yeah, they were running it up the gut in the second half, and we did a good job of stuffing that for the most part.
Yeah, he says that a little bit down the line. Once we stopped the run, we won, which is the truth. Yeah. Once we stopped leaking points and we could get some stops and Brock and the offense going to work, which I thought Kyle stuck to the game plan of sticking with the run more, because what usually just totally abandons it. But and McCaffrey was only getting 2 to 3 yards, and he mentioned it in his post game presser, and he said, sometimes I was only getting 2 to 3 yards, but those 2 to 3 yards can be important. It sort of sets us up for the next. It gives the play caller some time to reevaluate what they're doing on the next play and stuff. And I just think, that we got to keep that like he did in like Kyle can do, is just totally abandon the run and leave it in the hands of not really leave it in the hands, but I guess I'm sort of fumbling my words here, but you know what I mean. Just stick with the run, Kyle, because it wins us games.
In general, I would totally agree with the Lions a little bit less because they have a great run D and suspect boundary corners. But I think in general, Kyle gets cute and gets away from the run too often. The way the Lions did last night, where they like, let's go through it. And maybe it's interesting because I've been thinking a little bit about this, and during the game when it was 4th and 2 the first time, I guess the second time was 4th and 3. So the first time they went for it on 4th down on 4th and 2, I turned to my buddy and I was like, what's crazy is I trust our defense more on 4th and 2 than I do on 3rd and freaking 14. Because they just been converting those third downs. But then later I'm thinking to myself, maybe that did them a disservice, the Lions, because they got so feeling like, Goff can do it, anything on these 12, 13, 14-yard passes. But then they just started going for them instead of running the ball.
That's
And
right.
so maybe it hurt them where it was sort of so easy early on that they kind of got sloppy in the second half a little bit and did some dumb things offensively, including all those flea flickers and trick plays that didn't work at all. So
No.
Steve-O says he's got the receipts for what he posted. There you go, Steve-O.
Hey,
Good deal.
just on the flea flicker stuff, have you noticed that Kyle, his creativity isn't as visible as it has been this season? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, especially if you think about like Emmanuel Sanders throwing that pass to Raheem Mostert in the Voodoo Dome in New Orleans and things like
And
that.
last year, Debo throwing the pass at the Cowboys, Christian McCaffrey throwing that
The
pass,
Rams, yeah,
the Rams.
yeah, no doubt about it. I think part of it is, he just trusts McCaffrey and Brock more just to kind of do things. But yeah, I definitely have noticed less trick plays for sure, especially because we have so many guys that can throw the ball on our team. Jennings was a wildcat quarterback at Tennessee. Juszczyk's been a backup quarterback for us. CMC we know can throw. Debo we know can throw. I feel like pretty much all of our main weapons can throw, other than maybe Kittle. I haven't heard or seen him throw a football, but I feel like everyone else out there can pretty much do it. And I would like to see a little more of that for sure. Got Shardal Gupta in the house, SG Sports Shock. Make sure you check out his channel. Saying hello to me, hello to you.
Hey, bud, what's up?
Randy, Steve-O. Everybody's just saying hi. Raphael 562 in the house. He says, "What's up, Ted, Pedro, and everyone?" And it wouldn't be him if he didn't say like and subscribe right after. Thanks everybody in advance for that. Freaking Detroit ran on 3rd and 12 and got that was sort of my point. It was pretty crazy, and I think some of it was Chase Young not setting the edge.
That's right.
I am Bosa too. Bosa, went inside on at least one that I saw. So our edge players need to maintain their edge integrity and not let the plays get outside of them, or else it's going to go for probably a first down or more on a regular basis. Everybody's just saying hi, so I'll skip through that.
So here's a parallel from Lombardi. The 49ers have gone 27-0 runs in both of their NFC Championship games at Levi's. Against Green Bay 2019, 27-0 their way. Against Detroit last night, 27-0 to storm back.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. That was when Raheem Mostert went bananas and had 220 rushing yards and 4. That's still a record as far as I know in the playoffs. I don't think any running back has surpassed that. What Raheem Mostert did against the Pack, tore him to shreds. There you go. Everybody's asking each other questions. Flea flicker were not necessary, but the Lions got cute. Yep.
I agree. It's not. I'm not saying that we need to do that sort of stuff, Raphael, but I just think that Kyle and I think what Ted said is right. He probably trusts Purdy to do what he needs to do, but in the past there has been some more creativity in his play calling. I thought, and I think Ted agrees.
And we were saying how we wanted to see more of Elijah Mitchell. We obviously got to see him after CMC landed on his neck. Hopefully he's okay, or on his head. But it looked like he hurt his neck landing on his head. But like I was telling my buddy, it's like part of the problem is like Kyle just trusts CMC so much, and then part of the problem is CMC too. He just doesn't want to come out even when he's injured, let alone like if it's for a breather or to give someone else a shot. And so it's hard when coach wants CMC in there. CMC wants to be in there. I get it. As the coach, it shouldn't matter what people want. It should be like, hey, this is what's best for the team. But, Kyle clearly has his like Cabo crew, and they have a lot of influence over things. And, hey, we're in the Super Bowl. So if we can win it this way, then it's hard to find fault ultimately. But it's going to be a lot tougher to beat the Chiefs than it was to beat the Packers or the Lions. Their defense is much better than either of those defenses. They obviously have Mahomes. They obviously have Kelsey. Pacheco is a really, solid running back. And I think Rashee Rice is kind of developing as that, plan B, secondary target for Mahomes on offense. It's clearly not what's his bucket, the one who came over, Kadarius Toney, who I guess now is out with it. They said he had a medical issue, and then he's like, I don't have a medical issue. And they're like, okay, whatever, dude, just go away. And they picked up McCole Hardman back.
Yeah.
He had gone to like the Jets or somewhere. And my buddy Curtis, who was in the chat here, was like, Hardman's not the answer. And I was like, oh, come on, the guy's fast. He filled in for Tyreek before Tyreek left, and Tyreek missed some games before going to the Dolphins. And sure enough, Hardman's been a total zero coming back too. So Curtis, props to Curtis on that call. Other than the heart attacks, heart stoppage, blood pressure, free slot of life is a hell of a turn of events. Can't make this stuff up. Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun when we started to rally back, when it was like 24-10 and 24-17 and 24-24. We're just like, it's like a lot of people talked about it. It's like the game was tied, but it felt like we were winning.
Yeah,
because we were just the energy. It was just, you could just tell that we were going to win the game at that point. So pretty crazy. Raphael says, disappointed that Gox didn't show the fans Ford Field when the 49ers came. Fox.
Go to Twitter, mate. Go to Twitter, Raphael.
There's definitely pictures of them leaving after we scored that last touchdown. I didn't really want to comment on it because I felt like it's kind of harsh. Good for them that they filled their stadium in a watch party. I think that's, their fans are hungry. Clearly, they're starving.
They're pretty cool fans. I don't want that.
Yeah, for the most part. There's a few that were annoying that were like, you can see it's on my timeline because I posted most of them up, the receipts. Yeah. But there were a few that like came at me before the Packer game, and I'm like, dude, go beat the Bucks, and then come talk to me about the NFC Championship, because I don't want to like sit there and be talking about NFC Championship game before we've beaten the Packers. Like, that's dismissing them and looking ahead. And anyway, it was interesting stuff. But yeah, for the most part, they're pretty cool. I didn't like that they did that drone show where they showed the lion eating the Niners, symbol. I tweeted, I was like, oh, that's our only W this weekend, though. So good luck with that. Nobody liked it, though. So I guess they're afraid I was jinxing it or something, I guess. But I felt confident that we would beat the Lions, barring injuries or, refs totally hosing us or whatever. Ray says Detroit was 0-11, playoff fame. Goff was 0-5 coming this game against the 49ers. 0-5 in the last 5. I think he is like 4-7 against us lifetime. But yeah, 0-5 recently against the Niners. Now he's 0-6. Goff is in the last 6 games versus the Niners. So 2 as a Lion and 4 losses as a Ram. Because obviously it was Stafford who beat us in the NFC Championship game, not Goff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
49ers and Chiefs, Allegiant Stadium. It doesn't get much better than that. Yeah. Grand Theft Auto, GTA. Yeah, it's the Raiders. The Raiders fans are hurting. And I don't really care for Raiders fans, obviously, but I don't know. They're pretty far down my hate list. Seahawks, Eagles, and Cowboys are way, way up there. Chiefs are still pretty far up there from all the way back from 2019 and from the AFC. That's really impressive. But their fans were so uncool about the Super Bowl win and like just dismissing us as if like we hadn't been up and the refs hadn't helped them and whatever. Anyway, well, we got our shot at revenge here, so let's make it count. David McNiner in the house. He says, "What's up, Ted and Pete? Let's fucking go." 49ers. Make sure you check out his channel. He's doing great things over there. McNuevo.
I've got a jam, Ted. Is there any?
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Keep checking.
Any final thoughts that you've got, or do you want to keep going with your with the chat.
No. We can talk more about the Chiefs next week too, right?
Yeah.
So we don't need to get too far into it. I think it's just good just to do a little recap.
Yeah.
Chardall, just hit me in the DMs. We'll figure out a time. You're welcome on any time, of course. Real quick, just want to call out Portola 45. Kerry Hires available. Should we sign him? Absolutely, especially if Kalia Davis can't come back. We should get as much defensive line depth as we can get. That was what killed us in the first Super Bowl. Was we were missing DJ Jones, and we were missing. I'm blanking on the guy's name who Hargrave stole his sack dance from. A real good guy in 2019. He tore his ACL tackling Russ Wilson in the Halloween game. Anyway, but any of those guys that are like that, any D line depth, we could use as much as we could.
No, it wasn't Ford.
And also our center was out in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That was another thing that hurt us. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, we'll do more in-depth breakdown against the Chiefs next Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific. And I'll just say peace, go Niners, and we're in the Super Bowl.